are now tuned into the 2-Minute Warning, a live stream community conversation pertaining to social and political issues and how we can collectively resolve them. Powered by the Westside Gazette.
Good evening and welcome to 2-Minute Warning. I am your host, Perry Busby. 2-Minute Warning is brought to you by the Westside Gazette newspaper, Broward County's oldest African-American family-owned newspaper, and we're so happy to have you join us tonight. Joining us at the table, as always, are my good brothers, Mr. Bobby Henry, the publisher of the Westside Gazette, and Mr. David Wright. How are you brothers doing tonight?
You know something, Perry? I always get this inner jolt every time you come on and you mention us and you mention the Westside Gazette. It just does something to me. So I am forever indebted to you for making me feel that way. But you know, as usual, I'm terrific and getting better. Yeah.
Great.
And truly, I'm doing outstanding today. Just again to be here tonight and to be a part of this illustrious show, it's an awesome feeling.
Yeah, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, to our viewers, you know, it's always a pleasure to know that you're out there and you're watching, and when you really engage us with your questions and your thoughts, that makes us feel just that much more better.
Indeed it does. Indeed it does.
That was
yes.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you, viewers. Thank you.
And Bobby, you and I were on the same page. I was adding to that comment. Please hit the subscribe button if you're on Facebook or if you're watching on YouTube, and that way you'll get a notification as well. So we know that sometimes you can get busy, but it's always good to have that helpful reminder when we're about to go live, and going live without our steadfast audience who keeps us thriving on this and keeps us forever looking for fresh material, fresh content, new information bring to you all. So thank you all for challenging us to do our best and bring you the best programming during this hour. So thank you very much.
Now, Perry, you should have saved those fresh comments for later because you're gonna need them. but nevertheless, you know, David, what you got going on, man? What do you have going on, David?
Well, as you all know, this is Black History Month.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important that we do take advantage of the 29 days that have been given us this year to just share and impart information about our history. You know, it was brought to my attention that it's important that we continue to support Black businesses, which is innate. It should be. You know, our dollar, and if we can say it like this, our Black dollar should circulate within our community at least 5-6 times,
as much as we can get it. Yeah.
But it was also brought to my attention that if you are an investor, that you support those companies you invest in. And if you're not an investor, but you loyally buy a certain brand, you might want to consider investing, especially when it comes to Black businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, on the other side of the world, here we go. Black-owned business spotlight.
There you go.
So this is what we want to do. For our listening audience, viewing audience, if you have a Black business that you want to highlight or spotlight here on the 2-Minute Warning, send us a short video and let's see if we could match it in with our program and make it happen to give some support to Black-owned businesses. That's what we'll do.
That's exactly what
join in on the spotlight, of Black-owned businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Perry, what you got happening out there in that star-studded backdrop and home of yours back there? What's happening?
Oh, well, man, like everything else, we dealing with a dealing with this climate change. Got another cold front coming through, and so we're just keeping warm. And have some other information we'll talk about later. I got some very interesting information with regards to just the amount of migrants that have been coming through. I think you're going to find some of this information that we're going to talk about later. I think you're going to find it really eye-opening.
Okay, I got two things. When you mentioned the weather, our one of our youth writers wrote just a little small piece on this proposed or perhaps this oncoming amount of rain and wind that would batter California and probably create some hazardous conditions. So I thought that was quite unique for when the citizens were warned to be careful, to look out for. And the other thing I wanted I wanted to highlight was right here in the city of Fort Lauderdale, all around us being the West Side Gazette, right off Sistrunk Boulevard and 7th Terrace and 7th Avenue, 9th Avenue, 8th Avenue, all up and along the corridor here, there's a movement of construction that's happening. Perhaps we should have been warned in advance of what was taking place, but there's a lot of gentrification happening that our only inclusion is the fact that our land is being surrounded and in some cases brought for little of nothing. And I wanted to bring to the attention of those of you who are out there the proposal that has been, and you can read about it in the West Side Gazette, this RFP that is being called for this land surrounding the West Side Gazette and other properties that if you are a developer or if you are in the construction business and you want to partner with a developer, please take advantage of this proposal. It was just published this week in the West Side Gazette, so get your copy. And again, if you are a builder or in that profession, or you want to be a part of this progress, please read about it, take advantage of it, and submit your proposal to the City of Fort Lauderdale CRA department. And perhaps you can be a developer of this land. I wanted to say that because we're right in the center of it. Yeah. And it would be nice, it would be lovely if we had true partnership in building up this community.
Yeah, true partnership. And you're absolutely right. We sit right here in the epicenter of multi-construction developments that are going on right now as we speak, multi-stories, which are really consuming the community in these 4-block, 5-block areas because they're going to tower over the existing establishment here. But for people that look like us, that are in the construction business or in the development business, that have a relationship with the community. I just want to take it a step further, that have a relationship with the community and want to see what's best for this community. We totally encourage you to take heed, check out the CFP and
yeah.
Can I say call Bobby?
Oh yeah, so I mean, we will have to have that conversation.
Call Bobby.
Yeah, there's no way that these particular proposals would negate having a conversation with us, and it's just simple as that. There's also, I am moved over the fact that the city has included this advertising in our publication because, well, at least Now we know. It may be late, but now we know. On the other hand, when it comes to Broward County School Board, that's a different animal. So yeah. I understand you stuck your nose into a meeting tonight.
Yes, I did. The district, as I like to call them, Broward County School Board District for Broward County, had a meeting. I want to say it was a call meeting. Don't want to call it a town hall meeting, but a call meeting in reference to repurposing some schools in the 33311 area. As you guys know, when I say that, that's pretty much the heart of the city of the Black community in Broward County. So in my attendance there, they had a short discussion. They went into some breakout sessions where they were asking people to scan a QR code and go in and answer some questions or give their input on questionnaires. And then in the breakout sessions, they kind of went into a little more detail as to getting community feedback. Surveyed just a few people doing the process to see what they thought about the process. And some were kind of apprehensive about it. They were more on the wait and see side. Let's wait and see what comes out of this. What I can say is, as a member of this community, as a parent, as a teacher, as someone invested in our education process in the public school system, we need to be engaged. Now, I did see very many people that look like us there. I couldn't give an assessment of the full turnout, but I do want to say there was a representation there of people from our community. Could it have been more? Absolutely. Is this a start to creating some community advocacy so that at some point we'll have some community oversight, making sure that whatever is done to these schools when it comes to repurposing, that they're hearing and getting feedback from the community. So it sounds like they're on to the start. Unfortunately, they dropped the ball in getting the information to the Black media.
Black-owned media.
Black-owned media.
Let me stress that.
Yeah, Black-owned.
Black-owned media.
Yeah. Not Black interest media, but Black-owned media to make sure we get the word out.
And the reason why I stress that is simple. The school board and a lot of other entities receive a whole lot of money from bond issues and other things, or taxpayers' monies. But when it comes to advertising or putting a message out in the percentage of what the school is made up of, we don't get it. I called around to other Black-owned newspapers and found out that there was no advertising, no mention of any school board meeting. Now, there may have been a few people at this meeting, but it should have been a whole lot more. And I say this to the school superintendent, Lakato, and to our board members, Tori Austin, what the Holdness guy?
Dr. Jeff Holdness.
Yeah, Jeff Holdness, and even Dr. Wanza. The fact that you are supposed to be representing us, we don't get that. So, and I'm going on record to say this, and I'm going to say this again, that until the school board recognizes and give adequate support to the Black businesses in this community, you won't hear the last of this. You're not going to just come in and repurpose our schools, especially those that are in prime property areas, such as the North Fork Elementary School, which I do understand is probably the first school on the chopping block. And that's because of its place and on the river. And they want to do some revamping and some waterways and all that stuff. So that's one of the schools that's on the chopping blocks. And we need to be mindful and call it out for what it is. So if we don't have the representation coming from those who look like us and profess to care about this community, what good are you there in that position? Now, I'm not going to mince and bite my tongue on this. You know how I feel about this, and I'm going to say it. And I did say it, and I'm going to say it again. Until we are included and getting this information out to those who this will affect the most, we are doing ourselves a disservice, and we got to do better than that. And I want to say to Miss Kathy Curry, I certainly appreciate your comments that you made on Facebook. And we would love to hear what transpired at this meeting. And unfortunately, David was there for Mr. Wright was there for a short period of time and gave us what he could. So,
but it sounds like another case of taxation without representation. And y'all tax us, we pay our taxes, and that money comes out of our county taxes and the property taxes, and it goes right to those schools. And we need to be represented. The Black-owned media needs to be a part of that.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if we can drive that any further, Bobby. What do you think? Well, should we hit it one more time?
No, we're gonna let it go.
Beat the horse. Beat the horse.
Because it happens over and over again, man. This is new.
Yeah,
it's not new.
It's not new, and we skirt around with it. We expect our representatives on the board and in those hollowed walls of the school board to do what's right.
Yeah.
I mean, you may not like the fact that we call your superintendent out. You may not like the fact that we call you out at times, but the truth is the truth. If I lied, tell us we lied. That's all we're asking.
There was a day and time when every church in Broward County would know when there was a school board meeting or something addressing our community, especially when it came to schools repurposing or school closures. So we gotta spread the word. Somebody's got to ring the bell.
When your superintendent goes on record as saying he's not going to close any schools, and this is what he's doing now, come on, man, be for real. Let's call it out for what it is. You would think that as a part of Black history, you would include those who record Black history. And what's transpiring now is an actual, how do I want to say this? Discount to the recorders of Black history. Yeah.
Right.
But it's important, Perry. It's important that we are at the table and that we're invited to the table to make sure that we spread the word to the Black community. True, there are some heartfelt feelings about our inner city schools, but we need to be a part of the conversation as to what their future looks like, especially given the data. And Perry, you know as much as I, we're data driven. When we look at the data, we want to make sure that we're doing good by the data. We're interpreting and reading the data and sharing the data and explaining the data so that we can get a full understanding of what's driving these numbers and what's a good, adequate fix for our community.
Yeah.
I agree. And to look at that, to say, yes, I mean, we do need a seat at the table, but we also need to be at that meeting before the meeting.
Meeting before the meeting. Perry?
Where the agenda really gets set, we got to make sure that we have some representation. I think at all levels, and I agree that David, we have to participate. And we've talked about this before. I've seen this. As Yogi Berra used to say, it's deja vu all over again. It's I've seen this played out.
Well, maybe, Perry, we need a fresh start.
Perhaps we do. And as you all were talking about this, I mean, this is just more timber that's added on to this pile that's burning. That is this fire that's consuming our communities, consuming our institutions of learning. And if we're going to write this, we need to write it.
Come on with that.
If we're going to right this wrong, we need to right the wrong. And so we coming to us tonight. I'm so happy to have our guest tonight. So much has been said in Florida with our governor regarding African American history, CRT, and all things that make sense. This GOP is banning. One of the good things is he can't ban everything, and he can't ban us from learning, and he can't ban us from writing. And so this being Negro History Month, I like that because that is how Carter G. Woodson started this. We were Negro History Month. And with expansion, and we started adding all this black, let us not forget we are Negroes.
Mm-hmm.
And that is that we are, and just as they are Caucasian, we're Negroes. We need to remember that. But one of this festival, when I first came to Florida and was getting ready to write a book, I found this our next guest, and she invited me to this festival, which was the first time I'd ever gone to a book festival as an author, and just really fell in love with this festival. Gone back several times since. But our guest tonight is Miss Donna Gray Banks, and Donna is the founder and president of the Fresh Book Festival. And Fresh stands for fiction, romance, erotica, spiritual, and health. So if there's anything that floats your boat that you like to read about, you can find it at the Fresh Festival. Donna is just multi-talented. In addition to leading up the Fresh Fest, she is very much involved in the business community of Daytona Beach. She's the chief executive officer of the Midtown Community Development Corporation. She has 2 Zoom YouTube channels. That's Zoom on Fresh, which has a conversation on Mondays, and Conversations After Dark, which is another hot topic podcast you don't want to miss. And so I'll let her take us on from there. And so without any further delay, I want to introduce to some and present to others Miss Donna Gray Banks.
All right.
Let's see.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hey.
How are you?
Coming in all quiet and smooth. What's going on, Donna?
That introduction is, yeah. It makes me forget about all this stuff you get involved in until somebody actually kind of points it out that you are really, really busy. So, yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for that information on the RFP, because we are in the middle of a development situation here in the city of Daytona Beach with a melanated developer. So I will make sure that he gets that information. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Great. So Donna, tell us about the Fresh Festival, because I know when I first came, the Fresh Festival was closely connected with the Martin Luther King birthday, but now we've moved it to Negro History Month. So
well, there are many reasons why we did that. So I was steadfast on keeping it in between New Year's and Martin Luther King. But there are other reasons why we had to move it. For one, is that the schools are closed, right? So we really couldn't incorporate the students. We really couldn't incorporate the universities. And that was a touch that we just weren't getting. And the minute we moved it, well, and there are other things, right? So if you're in the city of Daytona Beach, you have to be very careful when you put on an event. So let's just go through the calendar. The first is New Year's Eve. Then you have this 1 week gap. You have Martin Luther King. Then you have the Zora Neale Hurston Festival. Then you have NASCAR. Then you have the Super Bowl. Then you have bike week. So it was just really hard to find one stable weekend that we could slide into and still not be and the pricing, right? So the second week in January, you could get a room in Daytona Beach for $100, right? So that was good for the authors. They were coming in, but we weren't getting any traction. And that was because it's right after New Year's. People are broke after Christmas. it just wasn't working. But I finally relented, and we moved it last year, and it was the best thing I ever could have done. So sometimes, it takes a while for a mule to get moved. But once it gets moved, things work pretty well. And so, we moved it to the last weekend in February. And that'd be very strategic about that also, because a lot goes on during Negro History Month. And but that seemed to be the perfect weekend. Well, it was the perfect weekend. Now that everybody found out that it was a perfect weekend, it's not quite as perfect, but it's okay. You can't fight events, because our city is driven by commerce of events and people coming into town and not caring how much money they spend on their Johnny Walker Black, right? So they're going to spend $15 for a drink no matter what, right? And so that brings commerce and into the community, and for restaurants and for Black development and our community. And so you can't be mad at people who come to town, and that's what drives us. So.
So tell us about the Fresh Festival. It's been going on since 2011.
Yeah. So the first year we did it at a hotel, which I had to live in my car for a little bit after that. We did it. We did it under the auspices that there was a Black Shriners group there at the time, and there was another Black organization there at the time. And I thought, okay, so we're in the middle of these two very large organizations. We should do very, very well. They walked past the books like they weren't there. So, that was kind of difficult, because I really thought that we could engage them. And then I met Janice Griffin, one of the people from the Daytona Times-Courier, and Commissioner Paula Reed, who grabbed a hold of it and took it through all the hoops that you have to go through when you're dealing with city government. And sorry, that's my water app. Make sure I drink water. And she has been my drum major since day one. And if you have someone who's a drum major for you and sit in that royal seat of commissioner or mayor or city manager, then it makes the path a little easier for us. And we had 13, and we invited the first 13 back for this year at our first book festival. Now I closed it at 60 because it's still kind of boutique-y, and we wanted to be safe because we still have a little bug going around out here called COVID. And so I'm real proud of that. And we brought it in overseas. So it was put on the International Book Festival list 2 years ago. And we bring in David Simon from the National Black Book Festival in the UK. Hey, David, if you ever see this. And authors from the UK also. And they gave us a real history lesson last year. I never knew anything about Windrush. The Windrush people, it's a boat, right? So it came up the coast, of course, and they got dropped off first. And their history is very similar to ours. And we wouldn't know that. I guess I never really knew that until I met David, and he gave us that history. So
tell us a little bit more about that history, Windrush history.
The Windrush. It was a ship, and they came up the, the UK sits in the middle of the sea, right? How they became so, I just don't understand how that little island became so notorious for so many different things, but they just got dropped off first, right? And so they were the first developmental people of color, melanated people in the UK who had a foundation, and they started what we started, black businesses, and and became engrossed into the system. But they had just a their time there was just as hard as ours, if not worse.
Okay.
Because they're run by the monarch, right? So, yeah. Yeah, Windrush. Yeah, look it up. It's a very interesting story. And since then, since the pandemic, since the world opened up, for some people it was devastating. I understand that we lost so many people, but for a lot of us other people who were saved from it, we were opened up to a world that we never would have been opened up to if the pandemic had not happened. So on the one hand, it was awful. And on the other hand, it opened up the world for us to speak to each other without having to pay $2,500 to get there. So yeah, that's good. I like it. I like it. We had a lady from Sri Lanka last year. We had an author from Ghana last year. The problem we have is the time difference. You know what I mean? So we have to kind of, they're in bed when we're up and moving around. So they have been very gracious to do things in the middle of the night, right? Just to be a part of it. And I'm very grateful for that.
And Donna, who are some of the authors that are coming? Because I know when I went, and just want to say for those who are really avid readers, Fresh Festival does bring some of the top names in within the Black author fraternity, sorority. I know when I first went there, I know the first year I went.
Oh my God, all these people,
yeah. The first year I went, I met Victoria Christopher Murray.
And she's coming back this year. She hasn't been here since.
Great. Yeah. Yeah. And we've had several of the authors who I've met
on the show.
They've been on the show.
Nice.
Travis Hunter, the Ward, Wallace Ward, and his brother on the show. Yeah. And
I mean, it is just, I tell everyone, come to sell your book, but come to get connected. Come to get connected. Sell a book or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10. But don't sit at that table, because the knowledge in that room is tremendous. And Perry, you took full advantage of that. The ones that you were there. I mean, because Victoria Christopher Murray will be there. Troy Johnson from AABLC. You know what I mean? He's the largest Black online book person in the United States, I think. Sunshine Swinson out of Portsmouth, Virginia. She has a story, you can look it up, but she has she's a boss lady, right? And she has 3 or 4 different businesses. She writes and she is a full-figured woman. And so, her story is it doesn't matter what you look like, you just have to have a strategy. You have to have a business. You have to have people in place to make your dreams come true. And you have to have I'm telling you, my village has been with me since day one. I don't even have to, I don't want to brag because, the universe has been so good, but they call me and say, are we ready? What we doing? And I love that. I love that. I don't have to worry about the foundation of the festival. I just need to put it together. Because the foundation is there, right? And so just bringing people in to make it happen is the easy part. But if you don't have that foundation, your volunteers, your sponsors, the people who just give you money just because they think it's a great thing, And once that foundation is set, the rest of it kind of all falls in together. Angela Ransom Jones is Angie Ransom Jones is coming from Tampa. She's a ghostwriter, of course, and has ghost written for tons of people. My really good friend, Keith Kareem Williams, we met him when he was a young man raising children, single dad out of the boogie down Bronx. Or was it Brooklyn? Oh, he'll kill me. Anyway, he sold books on the street in the snow. And now he is 30 books strong.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So we've had Brian W. Smith. We just, you know, I've just been so blessed when it comes to this universal gift I was given. Like fresh, I woke up with that acronym. I didn't have to think about it. Right. I woke up with the colors, how it was going to be. Because, you know, who wakes up with fresh? Really? Take care of everybody's genre except children, right? We have more children's authors than, and we love that because we've come to the point where we can give children vouchers as they come through the door. And so they don't have to worry about not going home without a book because we have sponsors and they take the voucher. They find the book they want, and they get to take a book home with their name in it, and they get to see people who are melanated and look like them. And it's not an exclusive melanated book festival at all, by no means, but it started with the auspices for it to be the basis for people to understand that we write to. Right well.
Right. So tell us how the festival, because it's not just about the books, as you say, and so tell us, when does it? Because it's what, a 3 or 4 day festival.
It's a 3 day. Yeah, it started out 1 day. Now it's 3 days. Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University is the host of our film festival. It's in our 8th year. Amazing.
So you have a film festival.
We have a film festival, right, as well. That's that Thursday night, and Sandenise Myers, who is the niece of Badilla-Dilla-Dee. It'll come to me. He's a rapper back in the 70s, kind of fluffy, light-skinned guy. What was his name? And he died here recently.
Heavy D?
Heavy D, yeah, Heavy D. It's his niece, and she grew up in the industry. She did the I don't know whether you've ever seen the video for Guess Who I Saw Today by that new jazz singer. I should have wrote all this stuff down because now I can't think of her name. What's her name? She just won a Grammy.
Yeah.
She just won a Grammy.
Yeah, I know. I can't.
That guy.
No, that woman.
No, Najole.
Yeah. We're going to take that as a senior moment, right?
Absolutely.
She has done her video for Guess Who I Saw Today by Nancy Wilson, of course, and she put her spin on it. And her feature film is Cross My Heart. And it's about a story about 2 young women coming of age. And of course, they have a secret, and it's their secret to tell, not anybody else. So it's a very good movie. And then we have a short film she did about hair, right? About a young melanated young lady who goes to a predominantly white school, unmelanated school. And she has problems with the fact that, you know, we have the Crown Act now, thank God. I don't know how it's working, but you know, the fact that she wears her hair differently, and very good short film on that. And her name is Sandenise Myers, and she's from New York, and she will be here. That's Thursday night, and then Friday and Saturday, it's a whole day of workshops. We're going to do celebrating Baldwin. Celebrating Baldwin, talking about a band. We're going to talk about Yonder. I don't know if you know who Yonder is. Yonder is an erotic writer. So we're going to have a workshop on romance, erotica, and pornography, and how different they really, really are.
Right.
Mhm.
And people, I don't know why they want to put it kind of all in one thing, you know? Our thinking is that erotica is what you do, and pornography is what you watch, right? So it's really, really two different things. And romance is just a way of doing the same thing erotica does, but they use different words.
Right.
You know, romance uses a carrot stick, and erotica uses what it's called. I mean, it's the same thing, you know.
Right.
It's just
Right.
the words are different, but the action is all the same.
Mhm.
Yeah, very, very exciting about that. And we're gonna do. There again, they pulled me in, right? Miss Donna, we're gonna do a vision board. Really? Why are we doing that? But it's literacy, right? And so when it was brought to me by Jerome Yates, shout out to Jerome Yates. He's a Embry-Riddle graduate. I said, nobody does that kind of stuff. Come on, why are we doing it? So I said, I'm going to try it out. So we do this thing called Reading Rangers in my nonprofit. So I said, I'm going to take it to the community and see what their reaction is. So we took the Reading Ranger program to the night of that the parents come and they get to eat and interact with children. So when I walked in, I said they were through reading, and I thought, oh, they're all going to run out the door when I tell them we're going to do a vision board workshop, and they all stayed. Yeah, they all stayed, and I was pleasantly surprised at the things that were on their vision board. But one of the things that was on everybody's vision board, what do you think it was? I want a house. Affordable housing is really serious. Babies want a house. Their parents want a house, right? And of course, the iPhone 17 or whatever it is, it was also on the right. But yeah, just the things that they really, really wanted. One was more food in the house, right? Yeah. And things that we just take for granted. Right. Yeah. So after I did that vision board, I went online, had my webmaster go online, put up another section where people can come to the vision board, and Jerome is going to put it together for me, and it's sold out. We only could take 25 people in the room, and it's already gone. So yeah. You know,
so how does a person get involved with this?
www.freshbookfestivals.net.
You want to put it in the chat? Put it in the chat box. So
what we want to do is be the marketplace, right? So if you want to write a book, and you know, I can talk all night, so just tell me when it's time. Is that right? If you want to write a book, or you have a vision to write a book, if we don't write our stories, they write them for us, no matter what it is, right? No matter what it is you want to write about. I write erotica, but I've been doing that most of my life. You know, I got beatings for writing stories about me and a little boy and, you know, being outside kissing. You know, that's just something I've always done, right? And so I think that, and in our community, you know, my father told me, you can't make any money writing. So what are you doing it for, right? You know, get yourself a good government job, stay there 30 years, which is what I did. But in the meantime, I was writing, you know, you can do both. So, I mean, they didn't have that kind of vision for us, right? And I want our children and our children's children to have the vision to write what you want. I gave birth to a young man who hated to read. And I would look at him and say, who are you? Where'd you come from? Right? I read all the time. And it's not fun. It's finding what they will read. It's not that they don't want to read. So I gave him a Ninja Turtle comic book, and now he's a collector. You know, he knows everything about Donatello and all that.
All the Ninja
You
Turtles,
know,
right?
all the
Right.
Ninja Turtles. He's got them back to
Mhm.
when he was 12. It's probably a nice little collection by now. So
Mhm.
if you can't, you have to just find out what it is they're going to read, because they will read
So,
something.
yeah. So, Donna, my question for you, and let me just flash back to that singing moment we had. Samara Joy is the young lady that sings.
Okay. Samara, yes, that's
Yeah,
her name.
Samara Joy.
Guess what I saw today?
Yeah,
Denise Myers did that video.
yeah. But a question for you is, speaking of vision boards, what is your vision for the future of the Fresh Book Conference? Where do you see it going?
I want to be able to pass it on to a younger person who has a bigger vision than mine, and has more time ahead of them than behind them. And so we're just working with some young people so they can catch it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And their visions are a little different. They're still 35-second people. That's how they were raised, right? Mm-hmm. So sitting down to read a whole book is a little difficult for some of them. But I have the hope that they understand that reading is a privilege. And we stress that because we weren't allowed to read. We weren't allowed to read.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have the ability to read and read whatever you want, you got to celebrate that. And so that's our push. And we're working with Bethune-Cookman students. We're working with the elementary school for the third year in a row, third year or second year. I have given them a book to reenact. So they take the book and they read it. They put their little spin on it and they bring it to the book festival and reenact it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah. I know as we talked about the theme of this, we wanted to connect it with
the banned books.
Right, with the banned books.
Yeah.
And just to sort of connect some dots, because I know when the book ban came along, there was a lot of people scrambling to get some exposure, to talk about how unjust this ban was. So has there been any connection to try to, I guess, maybe help promote these books as opposed to?
I think the point is, when they take it away from you, you have to take it back.
Right. But I'm saying, have any of those groups sort of reached out and said, we'd like to know more. We'd like to try to help facilitate that, because it's not just enough to stand up and protest against the wrong without having something to give people as, okay, here is us moving this, this forward, as you say, as opposed to saying, okay, well, we got to live with this.
No, it's not that we have to live with it, but it's like anything else. They'll get tired of it. They'll get tired of screaming about it. But we, as a group of people, have to take that reign. Okay, you didn't want it. We're going to take it from you and teach our children anyway, right? Mm-hmm. What I have seen is that the resurgence of churches are now having Black history classes. They're looking forward having VPK schools, which incorporate the Black history programs. I have seen a resurgence of the Black community and non-melanated and melanated communities. Whoever you decide you want to be a part of, have come together and said, okay, if they're going to take it, we're going to take it back and teach it ourselves, which I think is amazing. I went to an all Black elementary school, and I wouldn't change that for the world.
Nothing in this world.
Mm-hmm. Nothing like it in this world. And so I just see us really as a community of people around the United States surging up and saying, okay, you don't want to teach it, we're going to teach it ourselves, which is something we should be doing anyway.
Mm-hmm. Anyway.
Right? Anyway, when they wanted to get rid of 40,000 books, the city manager of Daytona Beach, Mr. Derrick Henry, said, send them to Daytona. So when he said, Donna, we're getting 40,000 books. I thought, oh my goodness, that's a lot of books. And we canvassed the neighborhoods. We went door to door. We had a publicity blitz. And the day I got there at 9, the doors opened at 10, and there were people around the community center. At the end of the day, there were 50 books left, or maybe 100 out of 40,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, that just says that we are really. Did I say 40? I'm sorry. It was 20.
20,000.
I really wanted to make it big. I really wanted to make it big. It was 20. It was 20,000. But
Yeah.
even that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a lot of
absolutely.
books.
Even
Yeah.
that.
A lot of books.
I got there, and Charlene had gone to pick up her babies and bought other people's babies, and it was. They bought wagons. They bought boxes. They bought bags to put the books in. And I stood in the middle of the parking lot and bawled like a baby, because I thought, this is where we need to be. It took 13 years to get here, but we are here, and we're not going to let it die. And so, I don't know what to say. I'm just overjoyed.
Yeah. I can say here in Broward County, our library system has championed the cause of really standing up and holding fast to, no banned books. We don't have them. We any book. And so both our library director, Ms. Grubbs, and over at the African American Research Library and Culture Center, Dr. Tamika Hobbs, has this Saturday school that actually, does what you just said. And I do believe that if we don't take it upon ourselves, we're going to lose it, and we have to, like you say, take it.
Take it.
You
don't want it? Come on,
I too remember. I didn't start out at an all black elementary school. We integrated a school, and after the second year, it was almost all black.
They flew out. They flew out the door.
Because we took it.
I mean, I can't tell you what that education was like. It was, I had teachers who cared about, whether we ate that night, cared about who our parents were, knew that my father worked midnights and my mother worked days. And so there were, some times where there was nobody home. And that sense of community was amazing.
Yes.
Shout out to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So I think we missed that now, but I think we're getting back there, because we all moved on up, right? And when you move on up, you take yourself out of the community. But I think we're reverting back to a lot of that, just getting. Jewish people don't move out of their communities. They stay, they work, they make sure their dollars stay in there. I can't speak for all communities, but the ones that I know, the Italian communities, they work together, make sure their dollars stay in there. And as you said before, we need to learn how to circulate the dollar within our own community. I'm not saying we're going to leave anybody out. We're not, because people are going to come to our community for some good grits and eggs, and
watch out now.
They're just going to do that, right?
Watch out.
They're just going to do that. So it's not going to stop anybody's commerce or stop people from coming. It's just making sure that we keep the money in our circle, which is so important.
Put that comment up there by Terrence.
What comment?
Terrence. Terrence said.
We have some viewers.
Yeah.
Okay, Terrence.
Terrence asked the question: Are any of the books that the governor banned available for students to read?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really pay it any attention. No, we didn't. I don't even know what the list is, right? Because it's unimportant to us.
So
There
Donna,
might be a list, but I don't know what it is.
Mhm.
I just
So-
didn't feel like I had to stress myself to look at his list. So we did.
So Donna, do you think that that list adds value to these books, or technically you think at some point in time they may become more valuable than they are today?
When you write a book, it goes to the Library of Congress for 70 years. 70 years, right? So that is generational wealth. If it makes $5, that $5 goes to my son. If it makes $25,000, that money goes to my son, right? And I'm hoping that he will, in turn, use that wealth to, start his own, whatever it is he would like to do. I think any book that's written is wealthy because it's words, and it'll take you places you'll never go. I mean, and it doesn't have to be a melanated book. Everybody knows the beginning of Tale of Two Cities is it was the best of times, it was the worst.
It was worst of times. Yeah.
Who doesn't remember that, right? I mean, who doesn't remember that? And so if you can read a book and remember just the parts that take you where you will never go, then that's wealth in itself.
Yeah. Virginia Hamilton, If People Could Fly.
If people could fly, come on.
I never will ever forget that.
So well, the wealth is not in the money. The wealth is in the knowledge of the book and what it brings to you, right? And the fact that we don't understand that 70 years in the Library of Congress is wealth management for us.
Absolutely.
So,
Good point.
Great point.
So no, I don't know what the list looks like. I'm sure somebody might knock on the door.
Which is also a good point for young authors to understand that when you write a book, that one of the essential steps is to get your book registered
into the Library of Congress. It may cost you a little extra, but make sure you do that.
Make sure you do that.
And we talk about things like making sure that your book is in your will. Making sure that your Cash App is in your will. Making sure that your PayPal is in your will. Because that's things we never thought about before, right? When I die tomorrow, there's a nice little chunk of change in that account, right? And if I don't have it listed, who will know? They're just going to
right. I suggested a young lady to give you a call. I don't know if she did it or not, but I'm calling out on the spot now. Miss Levita Holmes. I gave her your number maybe about 4 days ago, maybe might have been. So I'm calling her out. She wanted to know about writing a book. So Levita, if you're watching tonight, I'm calling you out. I gave you Miss Banks' phone number.
I don't believe I've heard from her, but maybe she'll be more
inspired to call you now since we called her.
But maybe she might become. A lot of people are more comfortable just sending an email. So it's freshbookfestivals@gmail.com.
Put it in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Do we have the logo that we can show, let everyone see? I mean, we can talk about it. I don't know if we do.
Yeah, if they want to, some people don't like to talk. They would rather do communicating with writing, and that's fine with me too, because I like to communicate by writing. But listen, my phone number's on the back side of a bus. I don't want to say, how it got it was advertising, and one day when it went by, I said, boy, that was stupid. Your phone number is on a bus, so it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there it is. It's up on the screen now. So for those who are interested and want to know something about a book, from reading to publishing it and finding like-minded people, here's your opportunity to. So,
right. I invite you all to come. The Bethune-Cookman University is going to do Celebrating Both one more time. I'm just so excited about. And we're going to do a workshop on hurt people.
hurt people.
Oh, yeah.
So it's
Wow.
yeah. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
no, and I say this in light of especially to young authors and especially authors of color who find it hard to get into the Miami Book Festival, which is
It's too expensive.
one of the world's biggest book
It's
festivals,
too
but
expensive.
it's hard as hell again.
Not only,
Mhm.
well, listen, it's outside. You have publishers who give away books. Come on. You don't stand a
Mhm.
chance at the Miami Book Festival. I'm sorry. If you're a first-time author, if you're in it and you've been in it for a while and people know your name, then you may have a chance. But if
Mhm.
they're giving away books, who's going to buy a book, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying, if you're a first-time author, that's not the place to be if you want to make money.
Right.
Because it's just, it's massive.
Yeah.
Right. And if it rains, you're done.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, and as I say, I mean the entry, I mean, just to get accepted is very
Yeah. And what I will say is that we have to learn our craft. So
yeah.
these publishing houses will publish anything.
Mm.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And let's not do that. Because you have to learn the craft of the English language.
Right.
And make sure that we use it as correctly as possible. Now, is mine all correct? No, because I use some things that nobody else would probably use. But the commas are all in the right place, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Semicolons
No
are all in the
run-on
right
sentence.
place. And
Well,
and comma, so, and therefore comma, right?
mhm.
And so all those grammatic things are correct, and I think that we shouldn't fall short of that. And they'll take your
Right.
money, and the first page you look at it and you say, "Oh my God, somebody actually produced this and took their money for it." So we want to be careful about that.
Well, James Baldwin said, "I'm not that kind of Negro."
Right.
He did.
Exactly. I am not your Negro. I can't wait to see
Yeah.
what they do with that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's gonna be
And speaking of that, but Dr. Eddie Clark Jr. Revisited that with Begin Again. He did a book on James Baldwin. I'm wondering if they're going to share any of that information at the conference.
No, I don't know. I don't really have their whole itinerary. I didn't want to dig too deep, only because of people, hearing about it and then wanting to try to say something more about it than needs to be said.
Okay.
So we're just going to celebrate Baldwin. Whatever they do with it, they do. Right?
All right.
I'll let that
All
go.
right.
And then apologize for it later.
Mhm.
Right.
Oh, I didn't
All
know.
Well, Perry, we're getting around the top of that hour there.
Okay.
Anything in closing you guys want to share? Or I'm excited about the festival. I'm so happy for you for being able to be on the show tonight. I guess imparting any closing comments.
From me?
Yes.
From
Yes.
you guys. Literacy is a legacy. Leave it behind. That's our tagline. So
Okay.
don't not read. Find something that you love to read. There's too much out there for you not to read anything. Read something. Right. Literacy is a legacy. Leave it behind. So
Right.
that's the
That's great.
tagline for the Fresh Book Festival. And thank you for having me on this evening. I certainly appreciate it.
All right. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Yeah, I'll come back anytime you want.
Great.
Right.
Great.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no, and Donna, thank you so much.
Oh,
We as we talk about this, we also see the resurgence in some areas of Black bookstores.
Oh yeah,
and how
you have a new one in Tampa. I want to get there.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a new one in Tampa, brand new. I think it's like, I don't know. It's an English Black bookstore. Yeah. So, a resurgence for sure.
Yes, yeah, and that's for me. That there's nothing like the community of readers, and because there's so much that that you just learn from that, and I think that if
So
there's
much.
one thing that we can uh, begin to adopt in our children, it is a love for reading and dialogue.
And dialogue.
Uh, Reading and
I wish we
dialogue.
brought debate teams back too. I love that debate.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and so that's what social media is taking away from us because it's truncating so much of our ability to read it, and especially with AI now, AI lurking, and so people will now get summaries and act as if they've read A Tale of Two
Well, we used to
Cities.
call them cliff notes, right?
Right?
No,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes,
So that's not anything new. We used to call them
Well,
cliff
well,
notes.
the Cliff Notes are getting Cliff Notes now.
Right? And so I don't want to just bash the young people about that
know.
because I certainly did do cliff notes while I was in college.
Yeah.
But I think what most people don't understand, and coming from the intelligence community, is that AI is no joke. When you start
It really is.
putting your face in these AI things, that your face can go anywhere, right? It's bad enough that we're all on the internet, but when you decide to take your facial expression and give it to somebody to do something different with it, put more makeup on it, lighten your hair, whatever, that same thing can be done to a person of interest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dave?
Yeah. And AI will begin writing
Hack 2?
melanated themed books without melanated authors,
Right. Exactly.
So, and that's what we're up against.
So that AI is no joke. I don't play with it a whole lot.
Mr. Wright?
Well, I'm just excited about our tonight's guest, but I'm also excited about next week's show. We're going to be doing some celebrating here at the West Side Gazette. 53
good. You got an
years.
anniversary?
Yes, 53 years. So you thought you had a great show tonight, guys. It was, but definitely tune in next week. We got a super surprise for you.
I like it.
Okay. Okay, as we like to say, we are deeply rooted and shall not be moved.
Yeah.
Now, I want to also remind us of a poem by James Langston Hughes, Mother the Sun. Well, son, I tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It's had tacks in it and splinters and boards all torn up and places with no carpet on the floor. Bare. But all the time, eyes have been climbing on and reaching landings and turning corners and going into places where there ain't been no light.
Yeah.
Dark. So, boy, don't you turn back. Don't you sit down and cause you find it kind of hard. Cause life for me ain't been no crystal stair, and I still climbing and climbing on. And life for me ain't been no crystal stair. So I'm saying that to say this. We, the people of darker hue, know what it is to be oppressed, depressed, but never, ever defeated. God bless you all. Thank you, Miss Donna Banks, for allowing us to get a little bit of what you have to offer.
Thank you
and
so
believe
much.
you me, we'll have you back.
Thank you. I'd love to come back. Perry, thank you so much. We'll see you again.
You're quite welcome.
Thanks to our viewers and all our guests. Good night and God bless.
Thank you.